Thank you for attending this evening, and on behalf of the News-Sentinel, I want to welcome you all here to this Candidates Forum for the Lodi City Council. My name is Rich Hanner. I'm the editor of the News-Sentinel, and it will be my pleasure and privilege tonight to serve as the moderator. Again, I want to welcome you all and thank you all for being here. There was some pretty fierce competition tonight, given that the Giants are in a pretty big ball game, so thanks for taking the time. Very much appreciated. The goal tonight is, of course, to learn more about the 7 candidates for City Council. And so by the end of the evening, we hope that we have a better understanding of these gentlemen and their positions, what they stand for. By the way, I think it's impressive that we have 7 candidates running, and all 7 are here tonight to talk and to express themselves. So, thank you, gentlemen. A few general notes. The typical caveat: if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. Please hold further applause until after the forum, please. I would like to acknowledge the other members of the Lodi News-Sentinel team who are here tonight. Maggie Kramer is going to be the timekeeper. She is our senior editor. Dan Evans, our photo chief, is going to be making a video recording of tonight's forum. Back in the corner is Sarah Jane Pullman, our Lodi Living editor, and she is the chief gatherer of questions. Our City Hall reporter, Wes Bowers, is going to be writing up this account for online and for the paper. By the way, Dan is hoping to have a fairly ambitious goal of having the video up and running by late tonight of this forum. Wes is hoping to have the story completed online this evening, and of course it will be on page 1 of the News-Sentinel tomorrow. And we may do some live tweets as well. Sarah Jane may jump in and do some social media tonight. Before we get to the questions, there are a number of guidelines, ground rules. By the way, can you all hear me okay? Okay. So let's go through some of the ground rules. We're going to begin with a round of self-introductions, up to 2 minutes each. Then we'll proceed to questions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. We'll finish with a round of concluding remarks, and again, each candidate will have 2 minutes for them. To keep everything on pace, gentleman Maggie will hold up a card, a yellow. We have 15 seconds remaining, and the pink.
The nice pink.
The pink means it's over. Okay. So we're going to try to keep on a pretty quick pace. We have a good number of candidates. We want to hear from all of you and just get as many diverse views as possible. Questions are encouraged from the floor. We already have at least one. A very good question, by the way. We are asking that the questions go through Sarah Jane. So if you have a question that you think of during the forum, please maybe get Sarah Jane's attention, pass it on. She'll bring it up, and we will take a look at it. Maggie and I will take a look at the questions. We do want to avoid redundancy. We suggest that the questions be of a general nature so that every candidate can have a chance to respond. Also, for your background, opening statements, the response to questions, and the concluding remarks will all be done on a different cycle. Before the forum began, we have drawn at random for the order of response. And that's to make sure everybody has a shot at maybe having a first word or a final word. And just another reminder, all the questions, this moderator will be going through me tonight. Okay? So again, you guys are very invited, very encouraged to send questions up through us, but I will be asking the questions tonight. Okay? We do have 3 microphones, so there are going to be a little bit of passing back and forth of the mics. We've tried to sequence the questions so that there's a minimum of microphone passing back and forth, but there will be a little bit, just as background. I think we're just about set. Why don't we move on to opening statements? And begin by random drawing. The first candidate to offer an opening statement is Alan Nakanishi. The floor is yours.
Good evening. I want to thank the Lodi News-Sentinel and Rich Hanna for providing this forum. Lodi is my home, where I have lived, worked, raised my children and grandchildren for 42 years. I am a physician with experience in business, state legislature, board of equalization, and currently serve on the Lodi City Council. This election, I'm the only one of 3 incumbents running. Following the Great Recession of 2008, many cities declared bankruptcy. Lodi's budget is balanced and has reserves. There is an upturn in business and manufacturing. Lodi Electric is famous for its reliability, and our new water treatment plant provides clean water and meets state's mandates. Because of conservation, wells, and the Macaulay River, Lodi's water supply is not in jeopardy. Our citizens' safety and preventing gang activity is a priority of mine. We have an outstanding police department, gang unit, SWAT team, and a grip program. We have over 70 neighborhood watch groups, and our police partners group who assist our local police. Our park services provide activities for our children, and a joint venture with our schools district offers after-school activities. As I meet with Lodi citizens, council members, supervisors, and legislatures, there is wide agreement that future councils face major challenges. I look forward to meeting these challenges. I will work hard to keep our community safe, our utility rates low, and services intact. I will strive for fiscally sound budgets, promote business growth, and protect jobs. I will be available to anyone who needs assistance or has questions that need answered. I work alongside with you to make Lodi a safe, business-friendly, fiscally sound, successful city. It will be an honor to work for you and to serve you. I ask for your vote.
All right, next up is Steve Jarrett.
Good evening. I too want to thank the Lodi News-Sentinel for putting on this forum, and I want to thank you for coming out. The only way to have an effective elected governing body is to have voters that are aware of the issues in voting candidates. So thank you for that. My name is Steve Jarrett. I'm the husband of my wife of 34 years, Debbie, father of 2 grown children, but no grandkids yet. I've been a resident of Lodi since 1997, born and raised in Stockton. Learned about local politics from my father, who was a longtime city clerk in Stockton. Graduated from Lincoln High. Please don't hate me. My draft number was number 8. I joined the Navy, served 4 years, which included 3 tours in Vietnam. Received the combat action and presidential unit citation. Came back to Stockton, but very quickly got into law enforcement. Spent 15 years in that career. The last 10 as a deputy sheriff of Fresno County. Was awarded my department's Medal of Merit and the American Legion's Law Enforcement Officer of the Year award in 1990. Left law enforcement at the age of 40 and attended the Mennonite Brethren Biblical Seminary. Was a Christian pastor for 13 years. I came to Lodi in June of 97 and was the founding pastor of New Hope Community Church here in Lodi, which I served for 8 years. I left the ministry in 2005, and since then I've done a myriad of things: real estate agent, leasing agent, sold copy machines, was director of business development for a local company. For the last 3 years, I've owned my own company, which deals in emergency services and mobile marketing. I'm a person with a servant's heart. I'm always looking to help improve our city and our citizens. I have volunteered hundreds of hours to different community projects, committees, and causes. I can't speak fast enough. I got involved in politics because I thought there's some changes needed to happen. I'll get to the rest later on as I speak. Thank you. Never give a pastor 2 minutes.
You think really well. Next is Mark Chandler.
Good evening, and likewise I'd like to thank the News-Sentinel and all of you for investing the time to learn more about the issues, the candidates, and myself in particular. I'm Mark Chandler. I'm a fourth generation Central Valley farmer. I'm a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo University in agribusiness. I also have a degree in a master's in organization management and development. And these are some of the skills that I brought to my 20 years of running the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. At a time when they started the commission in 1991, there were some very serious challenges to the grape industry here. And at the commission, we made a decision to focus on one central goal, and that was to increase the number of wineries in Lodi. And we created opportunities for our growers to vertically integrate, to create brands of their own. We created a sustainable viticulture program that is the hallmark of our work in the fields. It improved our quality as well as our reputation for innovation in the Lodi area. We co-funded the Lodi Conference and Visitor Bureau with the City of Lodi to help bring more people to Lodi to learn about our wines. We created the Lodi Wine and Visitor Center, which was the hospitality hub for the local wine industry. And we opened these windows of opportunity, and boy, were we successful in achieving our goal. From a start of 8 wineries in 1991, there are nearly 100 wineries in Lodi today. So I have the job creation background that I think will serve this community well. Some of those jobs that we created in growing those numbers were in construction. They were in wine production, wine marketing, wine management, tasting room management, and all that benefit of growth of wineries spilled over into agritourism, so we now have more restaurants and hotels and very vibrant local economy in the wine area. So I submit to you that Lodi has some similar problems to what those growers did 25 years ago, and I have the experience to help address those problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Tim Kazakian.
Hello. Thank you, Lodi News-Sentinel and everybody here. And my name is Tim Kazakian, and I was born and raised in Lodi. I went to school here, and then I went away to Los Angeles, to UCLA, where I received a degree in economics. Came back home and went to work in the construction business. I've been involved in construction. I've been involved in real estate, property management, and home designs for 22 years. I've been married 22 years to my wife, Susie, and I have one son. And it's kind of like this is a family duty for me to run for city council. A lot of members of my family have been on the city council over the years. And so as I go through the years, I have a cousin Phil, and my cousin Phil told me, he said, you can do this, you have the ability, you should do it. So here I am. I think it's important for us to continue on and grow this city economically. It's good to bring jobs here, to help us out with our budgets, and glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Doug Keene.
I'd also like to thank the Lodi News-Sentinel and Rich for taking the time to do this, and all of you for participating in this forum. Let's see, I've been in business here for about 30 years, actually over 30 years. I started my company when I was just a young man, 22 years old. Prior to that, I was homeless, and so I've got a little bit of background with not having shelter and housing, so I understand a little bit about our homeless needs here in Lodi. Work really closely with the Salvation Army. I'll get to that in a little bit. But as a businessman, I found out really early on in Lodi that if you do not have good customer service, you will not be in business very long in Lodi. And so I hope to bring that to the council if I get elected. My view is that the citizens of Lodi are the customers, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And I don't know that always happens through our planning department. I'll get to that more later as well. My background, I chaired the planning commission of the city of Lodi. I helped write the general plan for the city of Lodi. Was very involved in voting for the Blue Shield Reynolds Ranch project, as well as the Wine Country Card Room. And there's 3 of us here that have some background with running the city government, and I'm one of them. And so I'd like to tell you that I understand what the growth of Lodi is supposed to look like in its future. I helped participate in writing that. Let's see. As a representative of the City Council, let me tell you my 3 priorities. We need to support our police and fire in a sufficient way that we feel safe and protected in Lodi. Currently, we have 67 officers on the beat. 7 years ago, we had 78. And even though Alan was saying all the wonderful things about Lodi, we're not as good as we possibly could be. Alan's done a fine job on diminishing his endeavor. That's upside down, so I have 51 minutes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But we need to support our police and fire in a sufficient way that Lodi is livable and lovable in the future. With my business background, I know how to work within a budget. I've been through 2 recessions, and I've survived, and I think I bring that to the city. And as well as, and my time is up. The third point I'll get to later. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendell Keyser.
Hello, I'm Wendell Keyser. I was born here in Lodi, grew up in a rural area just outside of town. I've been here all my life. I've been in the construction industry for over 40 years. I have my own business that's been running for 36 years now. And I am also on the Planning Commission for 10 years. I am also chairman of the Planning Commission right now. I helped develop the general plan that we're going by right now, which we approved in 2010. I also am a chairman of the Architectural Committee, Site Architectural Committee for the City of Lodi. I'm on the California State Contractor License Board as an expert consultant. I'm also on the California State Board of Architects as an expert consultant. I've been working on the Trade Advisory Committee for the prison system for at least 25 years. I had put time in on that. I know how to run a business. I've been in business. I know how to take care of business. All my work is by referrals, so you have to take care of Lodi. The reason I'm running is because Lodi is taking care of me, and it's my turn to give back. And that's what I want to do as a city councilman. Thank you.
Thank you. Kurt Duran.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming and allowing us to exchange our views on this. My name is Kurt Duran. I'm retired from the city of Lodi. I had 33.895 years, not that I counted. My family history goes back to my grandfather, who was a local business person. He owned the East Side Locker and the Victor Market in Victor for a number of years. I was a school teacher. I'm single. I lost my wife to cancer in 2003. I have a grown daughter that lives in the Bay Area that's married and has 2 children. Since I retired, I formed a nonprofit called Wine to Water. Our first event, we raised about $10,000 and provided funds to Living Water International. I volunteer at the Well Center as their community garden coordinator. I volunteer with the City of Lodi's Farm Raid Detectives, and I'm a UC Master Gardener with the intent of trying to get community gardens in Lodi. And I also volunteer at Heritage School with the Earth Keepers. My main reason for running is working on our spending. I think our current council's done a pretty good job, but I think we can do a little bit better. When I hear we have no money and we spend $4 million on the Great Wall, that gives me issues. So that and our certificates of participation with the debt we've incurred, I think we need to work on that.
You want to use one of your cards now?
Yes, I do.
Dr. Nakanishi.
Transparency is very important. The $4 million, it didn't come from the general fund. It came from CB grant and donations. We need another $1.5 million for the Great Wall. Now, we didn't spend money from the general fund. It was given by grants and also donation. How much does it cost to maintain the Great Wall? Well, $15,000 a year. So right now, what are we doing now? We're paying bills. It'd be $1.5 million, so we're standing still. So it's not been a waste of money, or have we taken up the general fund? I just want to clarify that.
Thank you. And for the benefit of the audience, each candidate has 2 cards that they can use for extra elaboration or rebuttal as the forum goes on. Fair enough. Let us go to the questions. The first question will be going to Mr. Jarrett. We're going to begin right away with a question from the audience. Very topical. Which of the city's concerns / involvement be with the closing of General Mills? The other part of that, it may be optional. When is it appropriate to use eminent domain? So again, what should be the city's concerns involvement with the closing of General Mills? And Mr. Jarrett, we'll begin with you.
Obviously, the General Mills situation is of grave concern to all of us. Perhaps the horse is out of the barn. perhaps. If we are to believe what city staff tells us, which I would like to, that they were not forewarned, that General Mills came to them and told them shortly before it was announced, like that same day. So I'm not, as I sit here, aware of anything we can do. I believe that the city has dealt in good faith with General Mills, and that General Mills has dealt in good faith with the city. The question maybe is, what do we do now? What do we do for those 460 full-time, well-paying positions that are now left the city? What do we do with 1,000 jobs the county tells us is affected by General Mills leaving? What do we do with a manufacturing plant smack dab in the middle of a residential area? These are all hard challenges and will take thinking outside the box by entrepreneurs. People that will go out and find the people that want to come to Lodi and utilize that. Do we have those people? That's the question. Do we have the system to make that happen? I would say tonight that we do not. And that's what we need. We need leadership to lead us from point A to point B, to where we're bringing more business into Lodi. Because it's the business revenue that keeps Lodi livable and lovable. Eminent domain, so really odd pairing there, Rich. I cannot think of any reason for eminent domain to be utilized unless it has to do with public safety.
Fair enough, thank you. Mr. King?
Same question?
Same question, sir.
Okay, General Mills, wow. So my background tells me with every door that closes, there's an opportunity or a door that opens. So I'm kind of excited about the future for what we're going to do with General Mills. We can have an opportunity now to think outside the box. Who do we want to invite into Lodi that fits Lodi? Marcus talked about the wine grape industry in Lodi, and I agree with him. I think there could be a good pairing, some agribusiness, something that fits for Lodi. And so now's kind of the time to think outside the box. And quite honestly, it's sad. General Mills has been a benevolent organization to this community. One of the things I've done for over 20 years is belong to the Kiwanis organization. If you've enjoyed 4th of July pancakes out at Lodi Lake, General Mills has donated the batter for that for over 45 years. So they're going to be sorely missed, not only from my organization, but from a variety of different organizations here in the city. And so that's sad. And the impact is going to be far greater, I think, than what we can currently anticipate. However, with that said, there's great opportunity. And so thinking outside the box and inviting the right kind of business that would fit into that structure, or even tear it down and start over, we don't know. It's news for everyone, but now's the time to kind of think outside the box. Eminent domain. I agree with my friend Steve. Very few cases would I agree with eminent domain. Public safety would definitely have to be one of those. Thank you.
Mr. Chandler, same question.
Thank you very much. I agree that General Mills has been a wonderful corporate sponsor, a wonderful employer for our community, and it's going to be a real shame if they leave. I'm told that there are a group of city officials that are meeting with General Mills management tomorrow morning, and I would be hopeful for a positive result from that meeting. But failing that, we really need to know from General Mills what their exit plan is, so that we can schedule things like our power purchases, so that we don't have excess capacity that would affect the ratepayers. And speaking of thinking out the box and looking for replacements, I've already made calls to some of the largest food processors in the country and some of the largest wineries in the country to gauge their interest in coming to Lodi. We have a wonderful community here. We have a lot to sell. That is a terrific facility. It has rail, it has wastewater, it's got room to grow, and who wouldn't want to move their company to Lodi? We have a terrific location in terms of the transportation pathways east and west, north and south. We have a terrific climate for your employees to enjoy, and we're wine country. Who doesn't want to live and work in wine country? So I've made the calls. and I will certainly report back what I hear from a couple of these gentlemen are senior vice presidents of real estate and facility development. So I've thought out of the box and already stepped forward. And I understand the city has hired a new economic development person, and I would really like to work side by side with that person in attracting new business.
Thank you. Dr. Nakanishi.
General Mills, from the horse's mouth. I spoke to General Mills government rate agency. The reason they closed is because of economic reasons. The profits of General Mills are decreasing. They have capacity. People aren't eating cereal. They come to sites where they could do the same thing, so they sold this site to go elsewhere. The stocks are in question and so forth. And the reason they say they're going to keep it open for 1 year is because of the contract. They couldn't close it right away because of the contract. They would be closed at the end of 2015 for sure. Tomorrow, 2 city council members and the real estate broker for General Mills will talk about what can be done with General Mills. Senator Calgiani called me also. He said, Alan, I could go to the governor's office and have the governor help us do things to help businesses stay here. And that's one option. The other option is like people like Mark going out there, the chamber, and we all must go out and try to find people to come to General Mills. So again, I'm going to tell you this. The decision was made because of economic reasons and because of that, nothing else. It wasn't because of the high electricity rates or anything else like this. Eminent domain. Private property right is very important to me. I'm very conservative. Eminent domain, for me, I will vote for it if you need roads, schools, hospitals, but beyond that, not for economic reasons. That's why 12 years ago, I didn't vote for an agency which would take private properties away from a private individual.
Thank you. Mr. Kazakian.
Is this working? Yeah. What these guys said, I'm glad to see that everybody's positive. We're positive about what's going to happen with General Mills, and you know, it's going to affect the city. There's a lot of secondary and tertiary jobs that are going to be lost, but I'm glad these guys are positive about it. When one door closes, another one opens. That's exactly right. I agree with that. You know, there were a lot of businesses that weren't in this town, 10 years ago that have come to this town since then, so they will fill the gap. And I'm glad to see people are looking forward to trying to get that replaced with another entity. So regarding eminent domain, I completely agree. Private property rights are important, and I don't think eminent domain should be used for commercial reasons. I do think that, like Alan said, it can be used for hospitals, roads, and those kinds of things. So that's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Yeah, I agree with what Mark had said. That was exactly my first thought when I heard about General Mills closing. It's the first thing we need to do. If we can't talk about a closing, which it doesn't appear we can, since they've made a lot of investments and have a lot of losses lately. But my first thought would be find somebody to occupy that building, someone like ConAgra, see who has an interest. And if not, we don't know if General Mills is going to tear it down or what they're going to do with it. But certainly we need to fill that spot and do what we can to get some new business into that area. My opinion on eminent domain is the same as everyone else. I don't believe we should use it for anything except for public safety and welfare. So eminent domain got a dirty name down in Stockton, and we don't want to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Keiser.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the General Mills facility also. My thing would be to go out and outreach and get an ad hoc committee put together and see what businesses we can bring in, what avenues we could approach. It's a large facility. We may need to put 2 or 3 different businesses in there because it's approximately 60 to 80 acres. It has rail. It has a lot of things that can come in there. One of the big things that I think that would be important is we're promoting the wine industry. We just had Sutter Home build an enormous facility out there on the outskirts of town. Who's to say another winery wouldn't want to come into our area and do that? And we are one of the best wines in the country, in the world. and they're known all over. And I'm all for promoting our wine industry. And I think this facility could end up being something that could be nothing but positive, whether we got a glass plant in there to work where we're making our own glass for our bottles and stuff for our wineries around here or anything like that. I think that could be a positive thing. And I would work very hard at that if I were on the council. And I'd make sure that we did everything we could to try to get jobs promoted in the area so that we can grow and have a good foundation. And that's how I feel about that. Eminent domain, I'm the same as the other gentleman here. I am not in favor of it except for public safety. Thank you very much.
All right. You know, General Mills has 430 jobs. Job creation is very much part of the conversation these days. On the subject of jobs, what can the city do to attract and retain jobs that it's not already doing? And please be specific. The rotation continues, and we will begin with Mr. Keene.
I need Mike. What can we do for businesses? So we've got about 20, there's about 12 parcels of commercial land on the east side of Lodi currently zoned for commercial use, the largest of which is about 22 acres. And so first and foremost, we have to annex more property into the commercial area for our general plan. And without doing that, we're not going to attract businesses. As Wendell just reported, General Mills property is 60 to 80 acres, I think he said. That's a lot of land, but if we're going to attract businesses, we need larger areas for commercial use. And part of the problem we're having currently is we don't have the infrastructure there, even if we did want to invite larger businesses. And so getting the infrastructure done prior to businesses coming in, so you can't woo people if you're not ready to woo them. And we're quite frankly not ready to woo industry into Lodi. This has been part of the problem. The second problem I see, and I love what the Chamber of Commerce did with their Vision 2020 plan, they gave us a lot of information to digest. Part of the issue is that we're undereducated here in Lodi. As far as a populace, 22% of the population speaks Spanish and speak Spanish, but don't speak English. And so there's an issue with the education that's going to take place. So I'm all for pushing Bob Johnson to continue on to work with Delta, to have a Delta campus presence here in Lodi, and we can educate people so we can have the properly trained people for those good paying jobs.
Mr. Chandler.
Thank you. In terms of economic development and jobs growth, the low-hanging fruit, no pun intended, really is the wine tourism side of things, and we've done a terrific job there. We have terrific assets around the community, and I would seek to make sure that more of that tourism is focused in the downtown area. What can we do to get a nice hotel in the downtown area? What other kinds of amenities are visitors looking for to round out their experience here as they come and do their wine tourism? I'm really thrilled to hear about the Amgen Tour of California coming to Lodi. This is going to be a tremendous driver in terms of the recognition of Lodi as a great town, a great sampling opportunity, as Mr. Patrick noted in this morning's paper, for people to come see what Lodi is all about. And I think that we need to work with our major manufacturers, find out what the city can do to make their attraction efforts more productive. When I was in the Wine Grape Commission, I went to trade shows and conferences and seminars all over North America to get people interested in bringing their wine businesses to Lodi, and we were very effective at doing that. Again, with the new economic development officer, that would be at the top of my list. And I also agree with Doug about the Vision 2020 program. I highly recommend that you all get a copy of this document. It outlines the challenges and opportunities that we will face and how we need to collaborate with the Chamber, Delta College, and the San Joaquin Partnership to accomplish our goals. Thank you.
Dr. Nakanishi.
If you're a business owner and you want a big company here, look at several things. This is basic. You want a place where it's low crime rate. Secondly, you want low utility rates and reliable electricity, which we have. You also want good schools. That's up to the school district. And you want a cooperative city government, which we are. Having said this, let me tell you what I've done during the time I was mayor. I visited about 6 manufacturing companies in the city, and me and the city manager. For what reason? You see, if the city is doing enough for them. We want to say, he said, you know, we want to stay here. What can we do? That's important. It's important for the city officials to go out there. It is important, too, as a city official, when I'm out there, and if I see people who are thinking of moving here, we talk about Lodi. Come here, and we sell this place. Getting back, I forgot to mention, going back to crime rate. If you look at the statistics, you know what's the safest city in San Joaquin is? Ribbon. You come up there. That's the first. So when we talk about crime rates and so forth, we're getting better than most. Any more time? Job creation. I know what it is to have people come in, want to have jobs here. You want to have, we said, a place where it's safe. Lodi is a nice place. People come and visit this place. They like it. A place where you can shop, where you can shop, and you can go downtown. We have a beautiful lake. You should see, I've been living here. I've lived here for 42 years. A lot of more people walking downtown and also the lakes. And thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kazakia.
Yes. Jobs. I think it's very important to keep the city efficient as it is, and make it as easy as possible for people to come here and locate their businesses here. Permitting process, those kinds of things. Sometimes they can be cumbersome and difficult. Those are easy and makes it smoother. It sure helps people to want to relocate here. And it is important, like Mark said, that we do have a good education base, and also to have available lots out there for people to bring their businesses. And
Mr. Graham.
All good points by the other candidates, so I'm not going to go over that again. One of the things that becomes most glaring to me when we talk about attracting businesses, especially to downtown, is the failure to keep it clean and looking nice. We had a great investment back when we did the revitalization, and since then we can't maintain the trees properly, the uplights don't work, the sidewalks are dirty, we can't find $6,000 to clean the sidewalks. I don't understand that. So clearly that's one of the things that we need to do to attract businesses downtown. The other thing is that a member of the improvement committee, we've been trying to get some improvements done on Cherokee Lane, which is one of the first places you come into Lodi off 99. And I'm happy to report that some improvements are finally taking place out there. We're getting some handicap ramps put in and some bus stops. The new fire building out there, fire station, is going to be an asset. So we are making progress on that, but we have a long ways to go as far as attracting jobs to Lodi. I think the addition of an economic development coordinator is a positive thing.
Thank you. By the way, I've been asked to remind everybody to keep the microphone nice and close. It's back on the feedback, so just a suggestion. Mr. Kieser.
Yes, in regards to a couple of things. First of all, we have an opportunity and we need to capitalize on it. We need to bring a 230 line in for power. You're talking about bringing businesses. With that 230 line, we've already, what I understand, been approved, but we're waiting on PG&E. If we drop that in, it could save us approximately 20% on our utility bills, which we may be able to pass on to consumers, which would be an incentive also to bring businesses into the community again. Along with that, we have a general plan that we approved, and we have X amount of land that's available at this time. We can amend the general plan, and we have the sphere of influence where we can increase that size and with an amendment to the general plan, maximum of 3 times a year. If it was necessary, we have that ability. But we need to also increase our police department, because if you recall a few months back, we had a shooting downtown from a person just walking home by a drive-by and that. We need to have a police presence downtown that would make people feel more safe and comfortable. We're down on police officers. We also have a rolling brownout. I don't know if any of you are aware, but on engine number 1 is on a rolling brownout for the fire department on a continuous basis. We need to restaff that so that we can meet the needs of our citizens. We're also having 3 housing projects that we've built. that we've approved, that are in the process of being built. Gateway project out there on Lower Lodi Avenue, also the Reynolds Ranch project and the Van Ruten project. Those are going to stimulate some things, but we need to bring some business in. That's where we need to push to get the wine industry, because this is our big avenue to open up things. What we need to do, in doing that, we need to make sure that we have the proper infrastructure. I don't care what you build on. If you don't put a foundation, it doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last response to this question will be from Mr. Turner.
Bringing jobs requires a city not to be in bankruptcy. And that is the biggest 800-pound gorilla in the room. This year, our pension liability was 17% of our budget. In 2020, it'll be 35%, maybe higher. And since our police and fire department is 64% of our budget, we will be Vallejo with a different name. So our job is to keep the city of Lodi out of bankruptcy. Nobody's going to bring their jobs to Lodi if we're bankrupt. How do we do that? That's the question. We do that with new ideas and new leadership. People who don't live with bureaucracy, but know how the business world works. How to reach out to, how to get the economic development coordinator, the chamber, and the council of governments to work together to go to those places and bring those people to Lodi on our dime and say, here is Lodi, here's what we have, and here's what we're going to do for you. We need to become a business-friendly city. And we are not known as a business-friendly city. That's what we have to do. Otherwise, everything else that we talk about, 4 years, 5 years down the road, because we'll be fighting bankruptcy. Thank you.
It's a different topic, and we will begin with Mark Chandler. Mr. Chandler, what do you think can be done to encourage more women, young people, and Hispanics to run for the city council?
Well, it is a free country, and there is a freedom of opportunity. So I respect the three groups that you mentioned. I have my wife here, Jan, who is a business owner. She supports me in this run for city council, but I don't think she would be a candidate. She already has 2 businesses to run and does it very well. And I would love to have the Hispanic community more engaged, because when you look at the demographics of this town, the Hispanic community is growing percentage-wise year by year by year. And so they need to be engaged in a leadership way, and I would certainly welcome that. And I think some outreach there is completely justified. And as for our youth, we do need to get into workforce development. We need to improve our educational product. We need to get Delta College here to help us create educational opportunities for the 2-year degrees that will be needed in agriculture, in nursing, and computer science. And as these young people begin to take advantage of their opportunities, maybe they'll get the civic notion that they need to be engaged in creating solutions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Nakanishi.
First, the Spanish. I think we should encourage the Spanish churches to have seminars. Also, English class is very important. I find as a physician, people who come to see me, they live in our country for about 20, 30 years, they don't know English. English is very important. In fact, I spoke to the conciliar and said, why don't you have English classes in the sanctuary? It's got to be voluntary. As far as ladies are concerned, we have the University of Ladies organization, right? They could have seminars. And if they ask me to talk, I'll come. I'll tell them how the government's run and stuff. I'd be available to anybody who wants me to talk about how to run. So those are ways I can help to encourage the ladies, the Hispanic, you see children, kids too?
And young people.
Next month I'll be speaking to a group of high school kids on career days, right? And my advice to them is going to be this: be involved, vote, right? Right? As far as running for office, my advice to them would be get a job, then after you get a job, then volunteer, not at the very beginning. Like, you know, that's what I think. You said work experience and then run for office. That's my thoughts.
Thank you. Mr. Kazakia.
For women and Hispanics, I say just do it. Go do it. If you want to run, go run. I think it's one of the things that they can do also is they can watch the meetings. They're on the computer and learn about the city and what comes in front of the council and see how the city council operates. And that's another way they can inform themselves, and it would help them. Also, too, I think that the city council members should go out and speak to schools and speak to kids and speak to organizations and bring them up to date and bring them up to speed on what's going on, and that'll help get them involved.
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Well, I find this fascinating. This is what I've been doing since I retired, working with the Storm Drain Detectives, volunteering at Heritage School, working at the Lowell Center Community Garden. I've grown a relationship with California Human Development on the east side, and we've discussed this exact thing out there many times. I would encourage council members to come out and attend meetings on a monthly basis. If we don't reach out to our young people and our neighbors and build a sense of community, I don't think we can expect them to feel like they're part of the community and take the opportunity to run for office. To me, it's very important that they feel, the people I've met feel uncomfortable addressing the community, addressing the city council, and working with them has been beneficial for all of us, actually. I've learned a lot from them, and we are working in a partnership and getting them more comfortable with going to the city council. I think that's the way, reaching out and educating them and showing them the opportunities of what's available in our town is the proper way to encourage them to feel comfortable to run for council and receive seats like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keiser.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think would be important is, as a member of city council, we'll go to the high schools and talk to the students in their civics classes and stress to them how important it is to get involved in the public and the community, so that you can take an interest in your community in that. I know when I was in school, that was one of the biggest things for me, was to learn about city government, learn how it runs, so that I could understand how important it was to vote and to know what that vote means. And some people in the younger ages now have gotten where they don't want to vote. I've talked to many people, I never voted. Well, you know, if you don't vote, how can you change anything? They seem to think that, you know, well, it's not going to do any good. But no, every vote counts, and they need to feel that it counts. And as far as women, come on board, run. You can do things just as good as anybody else. There's no question about that. And as far as our Hispanic friends and that stuff, we just need to reach out to them. I agree with Mr. Duran here. If you start, I have many people that are Hispanic that I've worked with in that, and it's just getting to talk to them and talking to them as just like as a person, just like I'm talking to you right here, right now. Hey, we're all here. We're here for the right reason. We're here to try to make something better for the community. And when they feel that sense of that with you, they will come. And when they understand, and if they have questions, and they can make a connection with you, then they'll get involved in that. And I'm more than willing to do that for anybody that wants to run for office or anything. Thank you.
Mr. Jarrett.
We are a community divided by a railroad track, probably the most division of economics I've ever seen in the city. The east side, our Hispanic side, is underrepresented. There's only a little over 3,000 registered voters in the east side, and I've not been able to locate any leadership from that community, although I've reached out over the last 3 times I ran. So if we wish to have more Hispanic response and involvement, we're going to have to make a major effort to go find leadership, develop them, and bring them in so that they can learn how to become involved. I think we have a responsibility to do that. I've been involved with the Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention Committee, appointed by Jack Siglock. I was a volunteer probation officer with the Youth Accountability Board. Our youth are not being taught civic responsibility in school, period, flat. Entitlement is what is being taught. They don't think they have to do anything to get the benefits of living in our community. We need to change that. How the council's going to change that, I really don't know. We have a great youth program that perhaps we could take more advantage of. We do need more diversity. We are a diverse community that's not being represented.
Thank you. Let's see. Well, I'm going to take a little bit different approach. I'm going to tell you my story. My mom was voted Woman of the Year in Las Vegas about 20 years ago. My dad was involved in local politics, and here I sit today. So I think the effort really starts at home. That was modeled for me, and I think that when we have children, we model that behavior. And I've done that with, I had six kids. Excuse my little stutter there. I have 5 now. I lost one about a month and a half ago. I've got 2 grandkids also. I model the behavior that I want from them to them. And so my kids were involved. Kurt, I didn't know, by the way, that you were involved in recycling ministry with Living Water. At least that's what I do, the recycling ministry. And all my kids were involved. My wife was involved. I get my family involved in what I do. And so my daughter's in New York praying for me tonight, and the rest of them I had dinner with before I came here. They all know I'm doing this. They get to watch me do it. But it just didn't happen overnight. It started at Leadership Lodi in 2002. I took that course. That's open to the public, and anybody can participate in that. And that was how I got my start wanting to do anything in local politics. And I was appointed to the Planning Commission. And I just take those steps as you go on. I think it's simple for anybody in the community to do exactly the same thing. As far as women, we have a couple very strong ladies on the city council currently. With youth, I just explained to you how I would approach that. We need to model it for our kids. All of us need to do that on this panel. And as far as the Hispanics go, I'm involved at the 180 Teen Center. I think that reaching out to kids over there would be an important step for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you all know, Lodi has a spiraling pension crisis. What can be done to address this growing challenge of the spiraling crisis of pensions? And the rotation continues. Dr. Nakanishi, you're first.
Okay.
First, what have we done to make it so that we're not the worst? Because of our fiscal balance sheet, we're doing better than most. As we go forward, if we stay the way we are, right, and if revenues don't, it falls down, cities are going to go bankrupt. But the Lodi would be the last we could get. That's the first thing. Why are we better than others? Well, because we have reserves. We also are salaried workers. If you look at it, they're less paid than other cities. So our liability pension is not as great. Second, Lodi does not give health care benefits to retirees. Stockton did. They have to do it. So we're starting at a better level than other cities. What do we do in the future? We have enough reserves to tide us over for about 4 years. Some of the good signs that we see is this. The state and the cities are getting more revenues. So also, the CalPERS investment last year earned 18% of the investment. They had an increase of 24% of the stocks going up. So if the economy goes this way, right, we may not be in jeopardy as we thought. Having said this, we must still do something in the future. And there's not enough time to explain it, but we have to study what we're going to owe and make some decisions. And the decisions will be made not only by us, but by the citizens.
Mr. Kazakian.
Yes, I think that economic growth is the solution, and it seems to be that at this point in time, as they plan for the PERS obligation, that is how they're going to solve it, or that is one of the components of how they're going to solve it. So I think that like everybody here wants to bring more jobs, and we do want to create economic growth. That is going to help through sales tax revenue and more commerce and the frequency of commerce that happens in the city. I think the revenue side, you can look at economic growth, or you're going to have to look at higher taxes, and I don't think higher taxes are going to help us at all. And the other thing that we have to take into consideration is the costs of all of these employees are going to eventually go up. They're going to have to. So there is another reason for economic growth.
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Well, as you may have concluded, I am a PERS retiree, and I can attest to the fact that the city does not pay for your health insurance after retirement. One of the things we need to learn from this past experience is when PERS was superfunded, the negotiating groups, committees, try to get the city to put money away at the time and save for the eventual drop in the superfunding, which the city failed to do. None of the current city council was on the council at that time, so it's a water under the bridge. But we can learn from that experience. So should we ever have that opportunity again, we need to do that. We've already implemented the second tier hiring of new employees, which is the only intelligent thing to do, is to implement that. As far as what can we do with PERS, PERS was created in the California State Legislature, and unless they get PERS too, and unless you can convince those people to do something, I don't know what a city on a local level can do. I agree with the idea of building our economic base and increasing our tax base to help fund future needs. Clearly, if we're going to have employees, we need to pay them in a fair way that's equitable to other towns, but we need to learn from our past experiences.
Thank you. Mr. Keiser.
Yeah, as it's stated, there's been adjustments made for the second tier hiring, and that's helping. We need to keep building our reserves. We need to also work on building our business so that we have the tax revenue in that. We also pay less than, if you check on the statistics, 16 cities in San Joaquin County, Lodi pays some of the lowest wages in that of any of the other neighborhood cities in that. We have to maintain a certain amount of wages in order to get good people, so that we have reliable people coming here. Otherwise, we won't get good people. And again, the state legislator is on PERS, and those people are going to have to work to help us keep a sustainable retirement program going. And that's my take on it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jarrett.
You're either pregnant or you're not. We'll either be bankrupt or we won't be. It doesn't matter what any other city is doing, only Lodi counts. We need to do what we need to do. Now, the politicians will probably do nothing and probably raise your sales tax and probably put a parcel tax on you and then throw up their hands and say, oh, we just couldn't make it, so we'll go bankrupt. That's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to change our attitude toward business and to become very aggressive at bringing businesses to Lodi. We only get revenue from sales tax, property tax, and fees. Raising fees will stifle growth. Property tax we have no control over. That's a market-driven income. Sales tax is where we have control. We need to not ever have to leave the boundaries of Lodi to get everything we need at a good price and good quality. So we need to bring that retail in. We need to get out there and bring it in. Do what is necessary to bring it in. We need to double the tourism. Tourism is great income for Lodi because they come, they spend their money, and then they go home, and we don't have to do any more infrastructure. We need to really, really ratchet it up. We need to do it now. We need to get going, and not enough time for a pastor. We need to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Keene.
Thank you. Yeah, pensions is going to be a problem. We all know that. It's already been discussed on how much it's increasing. Alan did a fine job of explaining where the city's at with the PERS projections into the future. I'm sending you with paperwork from our city manager on the projections. It doesn't look good, folks. But it doesn't look bad as some of the other cities around us. So I agree with Kurt down there that it's got to be done at a legislative level. I think Lodi is going to be in a little bit better shape than those cities around us because of our reserve. But it's still it's a weight that we need to deal with. And how do we deal with it? It's already been talked about, bringing business, becoming business friendly. And I can tell you my track record there. On the Planning Commission, when I chaired the Planning Commission, I pushed through the Reynolds Ranch Blue Shield project. Mr. Keyser voted no on that. I pushed through Wine Country Card Room. Mr. Keyser voted no on that. So when he's talking about bringing economic development, I don't know what he's talking about, but if you're going to vote no, you're not going to drive that revenue into Lodi. And we need that revenue to make sure that we're going to be able to afford the things we need to pay for in the future. And so, thank you, 15 seconds, I'll wrap up. So anyway, driving business into Lodi, making it more business friendly is part of that topic, and making sure that we can streamline the process for new businesses that come in town is going to be very important for our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
Thank you very much, and all of the previous responses include some points that I was going to make, but fundamentally I think we need to grow the pie, and that's jobs and economic development, and I'm glad that so many of our other panelists agree that tourism is one of those tools, and you're looking at the person responsible for growing more tourism in this town than anybody else. Also, I think that as the city improves its economic fortunes, we need to set aside some money that will grow and help take care of that obligation. The city manager told me a few months ago that 3% revenue growth would help cover this upcoming obligation. We also need to negotiate with the employees. They've made some sacrifices before, and it's possible that they will need to do that again. Also, we need to collaborate with other similarly affected communities and go to Sacramento and get a solution. And from my opinion, the last resort would be to go to the reserves. However, there are some substantial reserves. The general fund has $7.5 million. The electric utility has $15 million. Wastewater, $7.3 million. The water utility has $7.3 million, for a total of $37 million in reserves. And in the last resort, I would tap those reserves to cover that obligation.
Thank you. Mr. Keyser, you want to use your card?
Yes, just one question that I'd like to state that is that when we were working on the Reynolds Ranch project, that was not in the general plan, and we would have to make an amendment to that, and I didn't want to, at that time, spread out. I wanted to make sure we weren't spreading out the city without doing it in there. So that answers that question. Since then, I have approved everything at Reynolds Ranch without a problem, and then made motions to approve those things for those housing projects, and that because now it's part of the general plan.
Thank you. Next question. This does come from the newsroom. Earlier this year, we did an in-depth series on city council pay and benefits. Sorry about the feedback. Okay. Pay and benefits. They include an $800 a month stipend, full health and medical insurance for the council member and family, can run thousands each year for his retirement, and a travel and conference allowance with virtually no oversight. Would you accept the full raft of benefits and stipend if you're elected? Do you think there's room to trim these back, or room for a little more transparency? And with the rotation, we now go to Mr. Kazakian.
The city council gets a PERS benefit? They do. I didn't know that. Well, I'm not doing this for the money, and I'm not doing this for the health insurance. I think this is a duty for all of us. I think that the city council members, they put in a lot of time. They deal with a lot of questions. There's a lot that's put on them, and they do spend their time doing that. Is it a substantial amount of money? I think in the big picture, it probably is not a substantial amount of money. It doesn't make a difference to me whether it was there or not. It's not the factor that's guiding me to make this run. So I don't think it's a major, in the big picture, I don't think it's a major deal. So
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Yeah, I was surprised that I didn't realize council made $800 a month. I thought I was back in the $500 a month range. But anyway, I think to make an issue out of the pittance that the council gets to compensate them for the time they put in, I don't think it's realistic. I'd be more than happy to give up my benefits and my $800 a month and that sort of thing if all the other council members did. But clearly, if I'm going to be the only one, it wouldn't make a difference. The only place I've ever heard of being an issue was the travel. And I don't think any of our city council, currently sitting on the council, have abused that. I know there's been many, many years ago some people who kind of over-traveled. But at this point in time, I think like I said, the trivial amount that costs the public for the time that the council members put in is not realistic.
Thank you. You know, we're going to, Mr. Keiser, can you put that down and we'll use the other microphone? Yes, thank you. The one we have been using apparently is not working too well. So thank you. Mr. Keiser.
Yeah, I'm not running for office for the salary. Believe me, I make a lot more money working than I do any other place. And as far as the benefits, the PERS and that stuff, I'm not even concerned about that. My idea is to work here and give back to the community, and that's why I'm running for city council. And as far as the benefits, I've put a lot of hours in on the planning commission, and I'm going to put a lot more hours in on the city council. And I'm not here for the benefits or the money. I'm just here to try to do a good job.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
I'm all about transparency. If elected, I pledge not to accept the health plan nor the retirement flat. The $840 a month you pay for your council to manage a $43.5 million business is earned. And that's, as Forrest Gump said, that's all I've got to say about that.
Mr. Keenan.
As far as the health benefits go, I'm going to chime in with Steve on this. I'm not going to take the health benefits either. There's no reason for a part-time. Look, I've owned a business for 30 plus years. I haven't paid my part-time employees full benefits. This is a part-time job, and I make a pledge to you that I won't take taxpayer-funded health care to you right now. It's $20,000+ a year plus the stipend. The onus becomes on us. We're public servants, and that's how I view this position. Now, when I was on the planning commission, that's an appointment. There is no health benefits there, so that was never an issue. But on city council, it becomes an issue because we're taking taxpayer money, and quite honestly, $20,000+ a year can go in a lot of other directions to help our city, and I won't take that.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
I agree with the sentiments that when you have professional people who are bringing their time and energy and expertise to the table, I think it's appropriate that there be some form of remuneration to at least cover part of the time that they are not involved in their other businesses. Whoever said it was a pittance, I'm not sure it was a pittance, but it's certainly not very significant for the hours that people are going to be putting in should they be elected. More scrutiny, absolutely. Let's make sure that we watch every dime and every nickel and where they go. I also think it needs to be communicated better to the public because we are talking about a relatively minor expense, but I've been out canvassing the neighborhoods and people are unaware of what the amount is. Somebody said to me the other day they thought it was $63,000 per year per council person. And so I think we need to communicate with people better about what the real benefit is and what the real talent is that's coming to the table to manage their city.
Thank you. Those people need to read the News-Sentinel, by the way. Dr. Nakanishi.
I'm glad to hear what you guys are saying. When I ran for city council, I didn't know I for all these things. In fact, I had my own health insurance ready to take it. And as a business person, I looked at the figures. In fact, I looked at the budget, Bob Johnson, and the city council member, you know how much we pay them? It's taking their salaries and benefits. $124,000. $124,000. That's what our payment for benefits. And I looked at our business, right? About $7 million in the electric utility, $7 million in the general for other things. We managed a business of $140 million, right? I calculated it. It came out to 0.07%, less than 1%. So if you, from a business standpoint, this is so small. We spend time on this here, okay? it's not worth it because we're talking about making a vote. With one vote, we can spend millions of dollars. We need to spend more time on that. This makes business sense. I'm not against, I realize the public, I realize the sentiments of the public. So when I'm in the city council, I will, at that time, take some of the benefits away. I'm not sure what it is. It's good. I think it should be voluntary, taking the benefits away.
Thank you.
One more comment. I'm not finished, right? You know how the health insurance came into being? This was before I was a city councilman. We had a city council member who went to a meeting in San Diego. He got sick. He didn't have health insurance. And that's why the city council member said, you know what? Other cities have health insurance. Why don't we give health insurance to that person? And that's how it began.
Thank you, Doctor. The next question, we're going back to Reader. This is from Reader Kathy of Lodi. The best preparation for serving on the council is to understand the city's budget and operations by attending council meetings. How many of you attended? And if you've not attended, what have you done to prepare yourself for the role of council member? And now we rotate, go to Mr. Duran.
I can't even count how many council meetings I've been to. For the last 10 years, I would say, on my appointment with the city, I wrote countless council communications, did budget work. I have been involved in not only making a budget, but also negotiations with employees as a representative. I don't know any better preparation for being on the city council than working for the city and knowing how the money's spent, running a division and finding out that your money is being used for a little special project, things like that. The awareness that you get from working for the city will prepare you in the best way possible to understand how the budget works, how the city works, how deals are made, both positive and negative. Makes me aware of the need to watch every dime, especially when we're in the economic downturn. That was my turn at the wheel for the street division, so we had to learn to be very frugal in that amount of time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keiser.
Yeah, I've been to several council meetings and that, but what I've also been is informed by the current city manager of what our budget is. He took the time to explain each and every item to us. I've also been out to each of our facilities, the water treatment plant, the waste treatment plant, and the power plant. And therefore I have a lot of knowledge of understanding how our city is working. I understand what is done. We have one of the most sophisticated power plants in the nation. No one has one like that. And this is one of the things that we've done here in Lodi. By pre-planning, we've done a lot of things that we think about that allow us to grow in the future. And that same thing with the WID, with our water treatment plant. We've purchased water so that we have adequate water for Lodi. We've also got a sewer treatment plant out there that does a great job, and we have plenty of room for expansion in the future. And by knowing these things, that will help me do a good job at City Council.
Thank you. Mr. Jarrett?
I've served one term at the Lodi Improvement Committee, where you get to really know how Lodi city government works. I have chaired the Lodi Chamber of Commerce's Government Relations Committee for 1 year. I'm very pleased that we stream our council meetings so I can watch it in relaxed mode at home. But I attend the shirt sleeve sessions because that's where the real information is given from staff to the council. And I attended all 4 of the budget shirt sleeve sessions, so I have, I believe, a thorough understanding exactly as the same as the council members received concerning the budget.
Mr. King?
Yeah, numerous city council meetings, plus being the chair of the planning commission. I get the minutes. I've been getting the minutes for over a decade. So I hit the highlights on those, the ones that are of particular interest to me as well as Wendell. We've all toured the electric and wastewater and clean water facilities. However, I did want to take a moment to say that there's some interesting things that need to be happening in Lodi, and that's a gateway. Mark has promoted the wine industry really well in our city, but we have no gateway introducing people that we're a wine region, and that's unfortunate. So when we talk about building business in Lodi, let's talk about doing something with our gateways to invite people in, to invite tourism, to give them those destinations. We have the destinations for the post with where the wineries are at, but there's nothing off of either one of our freeway accesses into Lodi and telling people, hey, we're a wine great region. Those are some of the things that need to be done. Part of the issue I see with the current city council and ones in the past is a lack of vision. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Whoever decided that we needed 100 acres of land off of I-5 for our wastewater was a visionary. And we need that kind of vision in the city of Lodi currently. And we sorely lack that. So I'm hoping to get your vote because I think I can bring that same vision to Lodi. Thank you.
Mr. Chandler.
I've had much experience with the city council. I've attended dozens and dozens of meetings. Especially, I spent a lot of time with the city when we were collaborating with the city. The Wine Grape Commission had the Lodi Conference and Visitor Bureau under its umbrella. There was a need to create that Conference and Visitor Bureau, and the council at that time said, we're happy to fund part of it, but we don't want it to look like the city is hiring more people. So if some entity, and they look me in the face, would love to take over that duty, then we'll do it. So I have a long relationship with having the Lodi Conference and Visitor Bureau co-funded 2/3 by the city and 1/3 by the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. We collaborated very well on other events and festivals with the city council, needed city council's approval, so we collaborated very much. I also have the experience of running a quasi-governmental agency for 20 years. The Lodi Wine Grape Commission existed on assessments on growers in this district, so that's essentially a tax. We operated under the same Open Meeting Act as the city does. We had to have budgets approved. We had to have strategic plans. We were audited every single year with our operation. So I'm quite familiar at an executive role of what running an organization like this would be. And the other thing is that the commission existed on a 5-year renewal referendum. Every 5 years, the growers had the right to vote for the continuation or discontinuation of the commission. And in the 3 times that we had renewal referenda that I was there, we had approval ratings in the 87 to 92% range. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Nakanishi.
Since I've been on city council, I've worked on many budgets. Literally, primary, wetland, primary, Lodi city budget. Our general fund is $43 million. Where did we get this money? $30 million from taxes, sales tax, property tax, 5 from others. For $43 million, we spend about $17 million for police, $10 million for fire. We also have other budgets we work on. Wastewater is about $13 million. The water budget, $9 million. Our electric utility, $70 million. So if you add them up, the city council member looks over about it. If you add $140,000, $150,000, $150 million budget each year. It's balanced. All the budgets that I spoke to is balanced, except one, Parks Commission. We're behind about, it was $95,000. It was $800 before. By the end of this year, it will be balanced. So we have to balance the budget. I'll stop at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kazakian.
Yeah, I've grown up watching council meetings. I've seen numerous council meetings over the years. Recently, more so than some shirt sleeve sessions. And the budget is a complicated formula. There's good people in the city that are putting the numbers together. They are balanced, and that's important. I get the parks issue. It's going to get better, so that's good. And that's about it.
I think we've gone through the round. Very good. We're probably going to be coming toward the finish line here pretty quick. I do a little bit of teaching, and I know that I've been told that after 15 minutes, students tend to lose their attention span. In my case, it may be close to 5. But I think that we'll have a couple more questions, and we'll go to closing comments, just to give you a little bit of an update. One question I think is looming fairly large in Lodi relates to gangs. A number of folks have asked, what can you do about gangs? What can be done that's not being done? And how do you pay for it? And at this point, the rotation goes down to Mr. Keiser.
Well, I think we need to get some more youth programs going. We need to get some more parents involved to work with us. Everybody's afraid. Again, we're talking about the gangs. There's Hispanic gangs, Norteños and Serenos, and we need to give these kids another opportunity besides being in a gang. And how we're going to pay for it, well, it's like anything else. We have to work with the school system. And we have to inform and educate these people so that they get community involvement. And that's the only way we can achieve any kind of a handle on this situation. Programs like Kurt Duran is working with, and getting people to come in and trust, and we have to develop a trust. And if we can develop that, I think we can start the work to help that situation out.
Thank you. We'll come on back to this side. Mr. Jarrett.
For 10 years, I worked the streets of Fresno. I know about gangs. Fresno was the birthplace of all our big gangs. What can we do? It's a societal issue. We know that. The breakdown of the family, nuclear family. These kids are looking for what is not at home. And so, what can the city of Lodi do? City of Lodi can do three things right now that won't cost us a lot of money. Three things gangs don't like. Number one is presence, police presence. We have a great, we can't add any more officers. I'd like to add 10 officers, we can't. But we have a great volunteer partner program that we should utilize on the east side. We put them in their patrol car, we put them over there, and when they see 3 or 4 guys standing around, they stop, park, and observe. If they're doing or going to do something bad, they'll move on because they don't like to be observed. That's number one, we can do that. Number two, we need to get the citizens involved in claiming their neighborhood back. We have let our Neighborhood Watch program, that used to be a very strong program, decline. We need to bring it back. We need to do whatever is necessary on the emphasis on the east side to make that program so that those people can reclaim ownership. And number three, we need to find lighting that private citizens can put on the outside of their building because gangs don't like darkness. And if we can do those three things, we'll put a dent in without costing us a big amount of money. That's what we can do now.
Thank you. Mr. King.
Yes, thank you. That's a very relevant question. Chief Helms reports that gang violent crime is up, and that's partially reported to gang violence. We're at the highest it's ever been in the city of Lodi, violent crimes. The good news is property crimes are down. So that's the upshot to that. Unfortunately, here's the downside again. We have 2 officers currently working on our gang prevention unit. One of them just retired this month. So now we have 1 officer working on our gang prevention. That's unacceptable for our city. We need more officers to handle that. And quite frankly, we're underfunded. That means driving revenue. It goes back to the revenue stream again. There are some ways to get around this. As Steve had mentioned, the partners are an absolute asset to our city. They have clocked in over 23,000 hours in 2013 for our city, and they have done a stellar job. We have the benefit of that. That's good news. Here's the bad news again. Our code enforcement officers are sent out to handle some of these incidents where there's abandoned vehicles, garbage in the front yard, cars parked in the yard, a variety of other things. We were down to 1 code enforcement officer last year. Here's the good news. We're up to 2.5 people working code enforcement now. If we can get people to clean up, we actually have a chance of reducing crime as well. So that's part of the good news, and that's part of Chief Helms' strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chandler.
Thank you very much. I agree with a lot of the comments that have already been submitted. A lot of the gang problem is related to single parent households. And my friend George Radonovich has a program that he's promoting that I think we could bring to Lodi, and it's called The Old World Paradigm is the New World. And where you had a family unit with certainly the nuclear family and sometimes extended generations living in the same home or close proximity, the young people absorb the values and learn the skills, the interpersonal skills to be successful. We need more youth programs. We need job placement. We need to improve high school graduation rates. We, at our Rotary Club, you can get the service clubs involved. At the Rotary Club, back when the original task force was active, we did Rotary walkabout, where we take a group of our members and pick an evening and walk through some of these neighborhoods. And it's like you were saying about people being observed. They don't want to be observed. And there was a whole group of 6 or 8 of us walking the neighborhoods, making sure that they were safe. Also, in addition to the gangs, we need to look after the homeless and the drug addicts, frankly, that are hanging out in our parks. They're a detriment to our community. Mark Armstrong over at the Lodi Grape Festival implored me that if I got elected to help him clean up Lawrence Park, because it's negatively affecting the bookings that he gets there at the Grape Festival, and that would be something I would be putting some time towards.
Thank you. Dr. Nakanishi?
You're right. Lodi is not as safe as it was 20 years ago, but safer than most. I've spoken to Albert Holman, Councilman of Stockton, police officer, about what Stockton's doing, and I've spoken to the gang unit officer here, and this is what Lodi is doing. We have the GREP program, the Gang Reduction Intervention Program. You know what this is? It's a grant that pays, it's not a police officer, it's a civilian who goes to the individual schools and meet with gang members to entice them not to go. And also, I didn't realize that we have data on all gang members in Lodi. And our police officers go to the gang members' homes. And these are some of the things which we in Lodi are doing. What else can we do? Well, let's get back to the GRIP program. It was funded by grants. It's going to run out. We didn't get the grant. I'm going to support using the general fund to have the GRIP program installed again. That's very important. Doing all these things, I think, will make Lodi a safer city, and that's my first priority. Of course, we've got to keep our officers intact. And it involves also going to the east side and educating the people there and here.
Thank you. Mr. Kazakian. Yes, the grant that you were talking about, I heard it is going to run out, and hopefully we can get that back for that program. And I think that program also employs people to go out and get intelligence on what's going on so that the police officers can have an idea and information about the gangs. Families and churches and youth organizations as well all will come to help this problem. Mr. Duran.
First, I want to applaud Alan for saying what I was thinking, that the general fund money should go to the GRIP program. At our last Lodi Improvement Committee meeting, Mr. Wood had indicated that it looks like funding a new grant for the GRIP program will be available. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. One of the things that I've become aware of by working with the Improvement Committee and also working with California Human Development, working on the east side, is the impact that gangs have. It's not only an emotional thing with the crime, but it's also an economic thing. With a good example is the nearly $800,000 for the damage done to the street lights on the east side of town. We need to make sure the GRIP program continues. It's very important. It was very effective. We lost one of our members to Guardian Angels at Stockton, and the remaining member who's working for us has done nothing but great things. I've heard nothing but positive things. One of the things that I've heard from the people who live on the east side out of California Human Development is the building a sense of community and getting the people who live on the east side more involved with local government and such would be helpful also. We've had requests for Neighborhood Watch, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, very good. One last question. A little change of pace. Think about this. What political or public service figure do you most admire and why? It could be living, it could be local, state, national, world, deceased. What political or public service figure do you most admire? And we'll bring it back to Mr. Jarrett.
Microphone, gentlemen?
I can't think of everybody living. I probably most admire Ronald Reagan for having the foundational values that I do, having a belief in our country that I do, and always, I believe, being a straight shooter. You knew where you stood. I think we could use a lot more politicians like that. So that's who I'm going to pick. Talk about it off the cuff. Jeez.
Thank you for that. Mr. Keene.
I should have never handed you the microphone. I was going to say Ronald Reagan as well. Yeah, you beat me to that one. Public service figures. I've traveled around the world. I've been on 5 of the 7 continents doing missions work. I have tons of people that I could tell you about their public service figures. But I will tell you, in my years of doing missions work and traveling around the world, the families that I've seen that have come from the United States and decided to live in foreign countries, third world countries, my hat's off to every one of them. So many families I can mention that have taken their kids or raised their families. The guy who actually mentored me when I first became a Christian, a guy named Tim Hall, took his 3 young kids to Africa and to Kenya, and he became a principal at a missionary school. His 3 kids have grown up and have gone to Stanford. I applaud my friend Tim. There are numerous people that I've worked with over the years that have lost family while they've lived in foreign countries. And but the one that you would know about would be Ronald Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
I have a very personal experience in this regard. The statesman that I would most like to emulate is my uncle, Howard Way. He served in the state senate from the Exeter, California district. I was raised in Visalia. He served in the Senate from 1966 to 1982. He was a man that, while he was a Republican, he did reach across the aisle. He was a man that looked for solutions rather than positions. He was the Senate pro tem leader under Governor Reagan, by the way. And he was a man of moderation. He treated everyone with the same respect. If you were the janitor or the governor, you got the same respect from my Uncle Howard Way.
Thank you. Dr. Nakanishi.
Abraham Lincoln. In fact, my school is named Lincoln School. I've lived in Lodi of Lincoln, and he was kind, compassionate. He had a 16-year-old soldier who was slipped on guard duty, was supposed to be shot. Abraham Lincoln wouldn't do that, and that's the kind of person he was. He was also courageous. He was able to lead our country into war. You know that? He didn't have, and he was man of destiny. And I like emulate him, man. So I'm sure all of you do too. And the books, I still like reading about his stories.
Thank you.
Ronald
Mr.
Reagan.
Zackian.
I have a love for Ronald Reagan. It was the first president I ever voted for. His economics, his desire to make this country great. He did work with other people. He worked across lines, and he was a wonderful man. And that's what we do.
Thank you. Mr. Duran.
Well, I can't think of a political figure that I've ever admired. I'll go with Abraham Lincoln because the man followed his principles, and I think that says a lot. And as far as public figures, I don't admire public figures. People who do things to get their name in the paper or on the press. bother me. I admire people who, like Dean was saying, who do things without recognition. That's a true vagrant individual, in my opinion. You do stuff because it's the right thing to do. So I don't have people I admire that have been in the public.
Fair enough. Mr. Keiser.
Well, I've got a little different approach. Mine would be John Fitzgerald Kennedy for one statement that I've never forgotten. Ask not what you can do for what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And my idea is, whenever I do something, I'm trying to do it for not just myself, but for a lot of other people. And I think that's something that we always need to keep as a concept, because it's not for what we can get, it's for what we can do to make things better for all of us.
Thank you. Gentlemen, it's time for a closing. Dr. Nakanishi kind of won the lottery tonight. He got to go first for the opening statements, and the lottery allows him to go first for closing statements. So, Dr. Nakanishi, closing statement.
I'd like to express my appreciation to the Lodi Sentinel and the audience for coming here. I feel the strengths that I can continue to bring to Lodi's Council, if re-elected, are my past experiences as a business owner of 42 years, being familiar with state and local governments, and the needs, processes, problems, and solutions that arise in this capacity. Having run a successful business, I understand what it takes to grow a business, work with problems, and solve them. Relate to the worries and concerns of those who work for and with me. I understand the importance of bringing and supporting new businesses to our city of Lodi, keeping businesses that are here already, doing everything I can to make it easier for them to be successful. The financial picture of Lodi is bright when compared to other cities around us, and I will continue to work for a fiscally sound budget and for reasonable utility rates. Because one of our major industries is agricultural, wineries, and wine tasting, Lodi is becoming more and more a destination for visitors. I will work to make Lodi a city that is attractive, safe, and clean, where people will want to return often to enjoy what we have here today. It is important for me to keep our city streets safe from criminal elements and gangs. We will do all I can to keep an intact police force, support our police gang unit, SWAT team, and if further grants are not forthcoming to fund the GRIP program, I will vote to get it to the general fund. After-school programs are another priority of mine, and I will work with school districts to continue our joint agreements to continue after-school programs for our children. I feel that it is important to keep Lodi constituents informed and will continue to hold town hall meetings to bring them up to date as to what is happening in their city and give them an opportunity to ask questions and get answers. When I first entered the political arena, I did it because I had a desire to serve. I have not lost that desire, and I will continue to consider it a privilege to be re-elected to City Council. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Next up for closing arguments is Mr. Kazakian.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody, the News-Sentinel, and this is a great panel of candidates. I think all of us have a great desire to make Lodi a better place. And Lodi has a great future ahead. I think we need to stay positive and continue our efforts to bring businesses to town and help us with bringing tourism to town. And we should all strive to achieve a fiscally sound government. And glad to be here, and thank everybody for the vote.
All right. You know, the rotation is different for the closing statements, gentlemen. It comes back to Steve Jarrett.
Our city is facing its greatest economic challenge. Now our city does not need managers, our city needs leaders. If we're going to successfully face the economic barriers to our Lodi remaining lovable and livable, we need a new direction, a new perspective, one that does not look through the glasses of bureaucracy, but understands how business works and what is needed for business to thrive, because it is our business community that ensures Lodi has the funds to be lovable and livable. And we need leaders who are willing to face the difficulty and the pain these times will require if we are to be victorious. This is the reason I decided to run again for the City Council. I believe my leadership skills are needed. My ability to obtain the required knowledge and bring diverse opinions and thoughts to the table and find a win-win as much as possible. My knowledge of all aspects of Lodi, from the successful to the homeless, from the for-profit business community to our numerous nonprofits, our youth to our retired, I know Lodi. And most importantly, my unwavering commitment to the truth, no matter how painful, is needed. As we enter these next 4 years, we need a council that has great character, that is going to be required for the work ahead. A council that is knowledgeable, a council that has the desire to hammer out the hard solutions, a council that is transparent and accessible, a council that understands the desires of our citizens and the needs of our businesses. Only if we have such a council do we stand a chance to keep our city out of the mire called bankruptcy. If elected, I will do my very best to help, along with the other members of the council, to guide us through this challenge, so together, all of us can rejoice when we achieve that final victory.
Thank you. We will bounce back to Mr. Duran.
Well, I want to thank Lodi News-Sentinel for having us here. I just want to reiterate my main reason for running for council is I want to try to make sure that we continue our wise spending ways. I want to build a sense of community. I don't think that we can have a true community without having councilpersons involved in the east side and building that sense of community. We need to continue to improve our attractiveness to new jobs, new businesses. Once again, I reiterate on my desire to see us get some more improvements out on Cherokee Lane, cleaning up downtown. I agree with trying to make the corridor entryway down into the downtown area. But with the way the downtown looks, it really needs to be cleaned up, and I really want to stress the need for getting down there and doing some real minor cleaning. More gang intervention. I'd love to hear about the GRIP program continuing. But that's about it. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Chandler.
Thank you very much. I started the evening recounting some of my accomplishments, and I'd like to actually explain a little bit more about my qualifications in closing. I mentioned that I'm a fourth-generation farmer here with a degree in agribusiness. I also have a master's degree in organizational management and development that will be helpful at the council level. I also participated in a program called the California Agricultural Leadership Program, and it was a wonderful experience, 2 years long, and they taught us a few things that I would bring to the council, and that is that you need to listen to people carefully. There are always at least two sides to a story. You need to take bold action to address the problems that you're facing, and you need to collaborate with people to help find the solutions that are required. And I think I demonstrated that in my 20 years running the Lodi Winegate Commission. I've also served as the president of the Lodi Rotary Club. I've served on the board of the Wow Science Museum and the Greenbelt Committee. For my efforts, I've been honored at the city level as being a member of the Lodi Community Hall of Fame. I was also inducted into the San Joaquin County Ag Hall of Fame. I'm very proud of those accomplishments. My vision would be to address these challenges that we all know that are facing us, to change the culture of negativity at the staff level and embrace the power of the possible. Let's stop wringing our hands and roll up our sleeves and make the decisions that need to be made to manage these challenges. In my background, I created a lot of prosperity for the community that surrounds Lodi, and I'd like to do that again, replicate that success for the entire economy of Lodi.
Thank you. Mr. Kieser.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I'd like to let you know that I've been on the Planning Commission for 10 years. I've got a good experience with working with city staff. I understand our budget, I understand our needs. Public safety is my #1 concern, and I want to make sure that we meet those needs. I want to improve our tourism just as anyone else here does, so that we can get more tax dollars coming in. I also know that you have to work with an open mind and listen to everything and work as a team to accomplish things. And there's always, as Mr. Chandler said, there's two sides to every story. And if we listen to both sides and decide what's best for the community, I think we'll head in the right direction. And I ask for your vote and hope you'll consider me for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keene.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm involved in a variety of local organizations. That kind of gives me a unique perspective of what Lodi is like. Not only Boy Scouts, 180 Teen Center, Salvation Army, Kiwanis, and a variety of other organizations. So that helps me get a feel for what Lodi is like. Plus, you've already heard my story about sitting on the Planning Commission and chairing that, helping to write the city's general plan, and a variety of other things that went along with that, going over our municipal codes and things of this nature. So I have a background with the city. As a businessman, I know how to operate within a budget. I bring that acumen to the city council as well. Plus my involvement in downtown Lodi. If you enjoy any of the art wall dog murals, I sat on the Art in Public Places that brought those murals to downtown Lodi. Trying to beautify downtown Lodi is a priority. It still remains a priority. There's a lot of work to do on Sacramento Street. There's work to do on Main Street. Part of that will have to do with getting a college campus presence in Lodi. There's federal money available, but there's a college campus presence in Lodi to rejuvenate those areas and restore them. There's some plans that I've seen over a decade ago now to beautifying both Main Street and Sacramento Street. I think we need to implement those. It all hinges on having a college campus presence. We have the rail yard. We've talked about, I had a meeting last week about the ACE train coming through Lodi. That's another 5 years out. We have to have a vision for the future to accomplish what you want to do. It's not just putting, beautifying Cherokee Lane or putting a sign up on 99 or I-5. It's what's it going to look like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. As I mentioned, I have 6 children. I want Lodi to be livable and lovable in the future for them. I want Lodi to be a place where they would be proud to raise their kids. I love Lodi, and I've served Lodi in a variety of different capacities over the years. And I just want to tell you that my name is Doug Keene. I approve this message, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you very much. Before we adjourn, just a couple of quick notes. We didn't get to all of the questions from the audience. I apologize. I hope that you guys can linger for a minute or two. And if you have questions, maybe you can come up and chat with the candidates after the forum one-on-one. Also, I'd like to take just a moment.
Do we get paid to stay after?
No, it was not. I want to thank Dean Walco, the library staff, for setting this up. I really want to thank all of you for giving up an evening to be here, to be civically involved. Very impressive, very admirable. Thank you. Most of all, thank you, the candidates, for being here. Thank you for running for City Council. On a final note, the Giants are up. The Giants won. So what a positive note there. 7-1 was the final score. Yeah. So again,
Sorry,
thanks everybody.